Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK and welcome back to Fate Stay Night Remastered. In the last episode, we got to meet Archer. That is who Reen was able to summon. Not Saber, but we did see Saber in the very beginning, or at least I'm pretty sure that's who that is. In case you guys didn't know, I'm completely new to Fate. I'm completely new to everything regarding this whole series and all of that. I don't know if I've mentioned that before in my intros, but I'm very, very new to all of this, and I have no idea what's going on, but I am having a good time so far, and I hope that I'm able to continue to enjoy all the wacky stuff that we've been shown so far, which is really only slice of life, and whatever the hell happened last night. Anyways, we're going on a tour of the town. Let's get back into it. I take Archer outside. Fuyuki City, my hometown, is broadly divided into two halves. There's Miyama, which is left over from the village the city grew out of, and Shinto, the developing modern region across the river. My house is in Miyama, the old part. Miyama is itself split into two areas. The European-style neighborhoods originally inhabited by immigrants from abroad, and the old Japanese-style houses set up against a mountainous backdrop. Both areas are situated on hilltops along the outskirts of town. The street dividing the two residential areas is fairly normal by comparison. How normal, you ask? I do ask, actually. I'm a little curious. This normal. This is the crossroads of Miyama. On one side lies the road going up the hill to the European neighborhoods where I live. Opposite is the road to the Japanese houses, and between them is the path leading into Shinto, where my school and the shopping areas are, as well as Ryudo Temple in the mountains. If I said that wrong, get used to it. I'm going to say a whole lot of other things wrong. We come to the bridge connecting Shinto and Miyama. Years ago, a big train station went up to Shinto, bringing with it frenzied urbanization. They may belong to the same, here we go, I can't pronounce that. I know I can't pronounce that. Municipality? Let's go with that. Sorry guys, I suck at pronunciations, both in English and Japanese. Sorry, it's gonna happen. But Miyama and Shinto couldn't be more different. I dig this. I dig that there's a lot of backdrops for all of these areas. The name Fuyuki, written with the kanji for winter tree, is supposedly inspired by the long winters here, which by the by are pretty long. Despite that, temperatures are warm. February here is only about as cold as the very start of winter elsewhere. I bet if you randomly started digging, you'd turn up a hot spring or two. Though, of course, our temperate weather disqualifies this town as a hot spring resort location. We've got an odd climate where the mild winters suddenly turn to springtime bloom come April. This sounds like an awful place to live all of a sudden. I don't do well with extreme temperatures of any direction. This is what Shinto looks like. A number of tall buildings have been erected as if in a hurry, giving the hastily developed city a distinctly artificial feel. I don't know, this doesn't look all that terrible. I mean, just cities look like cities to me, but obviously there's always that style to it. It all happened in the last decade or so too. 10 years ago, there was a large fire that wiped out a residential area. Someone built a bunch of glass and metal buildings on the depopulated land. And here we are. And here we are, geez. And here is the center of it all.
ここがシントの公園よ。これで主だったところは歩いて回ったわけだけど。
Honestly, it's pretty cool stuff. I ask Archer, who's next to me. Of course, he's invisible.
広い公園だ。だというのに人気がないのは何か理由でもあるのか。
やっぱりそう見える。まあ、ここはちょっとした曰くがあるから。
I look out over the park. You would think that a wide open space like this would have children playing in it even on a weekday. But instead there are only a handful of people. The place feels dull and lifeless.
10年前の話よ。この辺り一帯で大きな火事があったんだって。火は一日燃え続けて、雨が降り出した頃に消えたんだとか。その後町は復興したけど、ここだけはそのままなの。
Interesting.
焼け野原になって何もなくなったから公園にしたらしいわ。
Archer says nothing. but I can tell he's sensed something odd even if I can't see him.
気づいたみたいね。そうよ。ここが前回の聖杯戦争決着の地。私も事情は知らないけど、前回の聖杯戦争はここで終結してそれきり。
I have a feeling this is also where people go to LARP.
なるほど。それでこんなにもここは怨念に満ちているというわけか。
わかるの？そういうの。
サーバントというのは霊体だ。そのあり方は怨念、妄執に近い。故に同じ無念には敏感なのさ。街中でも濃い場所はあるが、ここは別格だ。我らから見れば固有結界のそれに近い。
Reality marble? Tosika mutters under her breath, excuse me. Archer's inflectionless voice mentions an unusual bit of magical jargon. Innate bounded fields, mages call them reality marbles. Reality marbles are considered one of the apexes of magecraft, and they're said to be infinitely close to true magic. For the last few centuries, bounded fields have served as mages' defensive barriers. To put it in simple terms, they're like a home security system with real teeth. Bounded fields are conventionally erected on a piece of land or a building to guard against outside threats. They're merely an alteration of an area that already exists. Reality marbles, however, are something else entirely. You can think of them as a space that consumes reality itself. When a mage materializes their imaginary world, a representation of their mind, and overwrites the real world with it, we call the resulting field a reality marble. It's a large area magecraft that twists, no, rebuilds the world according to a mage's wishes. Okay. I can dig these terminologies.
ちょっと意外だったから。こういう結界だなんて、アーチャーのくせに珍しい言葉を知ってるなって。
なんだ、知っていてはおかしいか。
だってそうじゃない。固有結界っていうのは魔術師にとっては禁忌中の禁忌、奥義の中の奥義だもの。アーチャーであるあなたが知ってるなんて筋違いよ。
I mean, servants themselves just might know about it necessarily. I shoot a quizzical gaze in his general direction. In reply, I feel an incorporeal sigh.
リン、英雄とは剣術、魔術に長けたものを指す。アーチャーだからといって弓しか使えないと思うのは勝手だが、私以外のサーバントにそんな楽観は持たないでくれ。
Yeah, honestly, I do have to say, who knows what Archer here is capable of when it comes to combat, and also his history, of which he's not even sure of as well. But everybody else, Saber, out of my little bit of fate knowledge, know of Saber to be Saber. Like, that's the one. You know, that's the key figure. Everybody else, though, who knows? And really, what power does she hold? You know, why did Rin really want her, you know? Why did she want Saber? That doesn't make sense when he puts it like that.
わかったわよ。今のは軽率な発言だったわ。
Don't underestimate your
次からは
servants.
気をつけるから、これでいいでしょ？
リン、ズバリ言おう。君は優秀だが、それゆえに他人を過小評価する欠点がある。成人するまでには強制したまえ。
何気に失礼なこと言うわね、あん
No,
た。
I'm on his side here. Break my habit? He's talking about me like an unruly racehorse.
いや、失礼。別にリンがジャジャ馬だと言ったわけではない。単にイメージ通りの表現を使っただけというか。
なおさら悪いわ。
What's going on? My right hand suddenly flares with pain.
リン、
ちょっと黙って、あーちゃん。
The command spells on my right hand hurt. They're throbbing, almost like a dull alarm warning their owner.
誰かに見られてる。
Oh, lovely. I scan my surroundings. I mentally weave a detection web and cast it out over the park.
私じゃ見つけられない。あーちゃん、あなたは？
難しいな。私には視線すら感じられん。
ってことは、見てるのはマスターね。
Well, that's lovely. Do you guys just love the feeling that somebody's watching you, but you don't know from where or who it is? Or if there actually is somebody watching you? That's a great feeling. I don't know who it is, but if Archer can't tell, then it must be a master. We don't have all 7 yet, but the fighting could still start at any time. Maybe whoever's watching me is up for an early skirmish.
レイジはレイジュに反応する。マスターであるのなら、誰がマスターであるかは出会えば感じられるということか。だが、それならリンにも相手が識別できるのではないか。
ええ。けど、高位の術者なら自分の魔力ぐらい隠し通せる。いくら霊樹同士が反応するって言っても、その霊樹だって魔力で発動するものよ。大元であるマスター自身が魔術回路を閉じていれば見つけることは難しいわ。
厄介だな。では、こちらはいいように位置を知らせているということか。
でしょうね。まあ、私だって家探しすれば魔力殺しぐらいは見つかるだろうけど。
必要ないと？
そう。だって隠さなければ向こうからやってきてくれるでしょ。こっちから出向く手間が省けるわ。
A little deliberate. Archer doesn't respond. Maybe he's irritated with me.
何よ。
It might not necessarily be a
自信過剰はいけないっ
style.
て言いたいの？
I ask, a little defensive, thinking of our earlier exchanges. Archer mentally brushes the question aside.
君はそのままが一番強い。はん？小物には付きまとわせてやるがよかろう。
I can feel the smirk in his tone. I wish I could. Damn, it got orange out. Like that was a lot of orange. Man, the sun is powerful. It's crazy. I'm not saying I like what he said, but it is enough of an olive branch, I suppose. We start walking around town again. Will we run into somebody? Well, now it's just dark. I spend the day taking him to all the important places and even drop by some less significant spots that might be useful to know. After dinner, I make for our final stop. It's now after 7 in the evening. And this is a good chance to show him the best vantage point in the city. Whoa. Hey, I've been up here before. The wind howls. We're atop the tallest building in Shinto. The commanding view of the city makes for a fitting end to our tour.
どう？ここなら見通しがいいでしょ、あーちゃん。
はあ、将来君と付き合う男に同情するな。
Oh my god.
よくもまあ、ここまで好き勝手連れ回してくれたものだ。
I like to, tour around.
何か言った、あーちゃん。
素直な感想を少し。と、確かにいい場所だ。初めからここに来れば歩き回る必要もなかったのだが。
何言ってるのよ。確かに見晴らしはいいけど、ここからわかるのは街の前景だけじゃない。実際にその場に行かないと街の作りはわからないわ。
そうでもないが、アーチャーのクラスは伊達ではないぞ。旧兵は目が良くなければ務まらん。
そうなの？それじゃあここから家が見える？あーちゃん。
いや、さすがに隣町までは見えない。
Jesus.
橋あたりまでだな。
Damn. Now that's some distance.
タイルって橋のタイル？
I didn't expect his vision to be as good as the telescopes I often see on rooftops. Sharp eye doesn't begin to cut it.
びっくり。アーチャーって本当にアーチャーなんだ。
Not really?
リン、まさかとは思うが、君、私をバカにしているんじゃないだろうな。
そんなわけないでしょ。たださ、あなたってアーチャーって言う割には弓使いっぽくないから、つい勘違いしてただけ。
What do you mean you don't... What? Huh?
それは問題発言だ。帰ってから追求しよう。
With that, Archer goes quiet for a while. He must like the landscape from up here. He's probably considering the layout of the city. I shouldn't interrupt him while he's thinking. I step away from Archer and approach the edge of the rooftop. Damn. It's a pretty wide open rooftop. All I can see from here are the lights below. Headlights flow through the streets, and I can make out people on the way home from work. How did we get up here? Did we just go into this building and we can just go up to the top, no issues? I can't tell what kinds of cars they are or who exactly is walking. I can see them, but not clearly. It's not unlike how I could tell someone was watching me earlier, even if I couldn't pinpoint them.
少なくとも神道を根城にしている奴が一人いる。
I squint down toward the ground. There are 7 masters in total. I don't know who they are, nor which servants are with them. At this point, every master is probably gathering intelligence on their rivals. Suddenly, I feel someone's eyes on me. There's no reaction from my command spells. I simply sense that someone else is looking at me.
下
I peer down. People are walking on the street, but one in particular is gazing up at me as if staring at the moon. I'm not sure exactly who that is. I can't say for certain, and yet I know exactly who. I can't believe that guy. What's he doing out this late?
リン、敵を見つけたのか?
No, I think a classmate maybe? Archer calls out to me. Maybe he can make out my rising hostility.
別にただの知り合い。私たちには関係のない一般人よ。
Unable to clamp it down, I irritably snap back at him and step away from the roof's edge. He couldn't have seen me from the ground. I'm sure it was just a coincidence. I haven't given myself away. And yet, my mage side is screaming at me for allowing an eyewitness to catch sight of me. I don't think it's the end of the world here. I think we're okay. By the time I get back to Miyama, it's 9 p.m. Unlike Shinto, Miyama is mostly residential. After 9, there isn't really anyone outside, and the streets are silent as if it's much later at night.
こんなところね。街の作りは大体わかった？
ん？ああ。街のことならわかる。あとはおいおい掴んでいくさ。
As I'm sure we will as well, because, you know, this is our setting. This is our little world here in this story.
なら今日はここまでね。私もまだ本調子じゃないし、家に戻って休みましょう。
Are we not gonna, you know, talk about who it is that we saw when we were up on the roof? I start up the hill at a relaxed pace, when I notice someone up ahead.
あれ、さくら？
Uh-oh. Now would not be a good time to run into her. Are we hiding?
リン、何を隠れている？
黙ってて。うん。あそこにいるの知り合いなのよ。今日は学校休んだし、あんまり顔を合わせたくないの。
As I answer, I keep an eye on her. In the middle of the street, there's the first-year student I know. Who the hell? God damn, he's fucking tall. Wow. Yeah, okay, he's a foreigner, and a foreigner I don't. Okay, there we have it. They're talking. No, it looks more like he's trying to pick her up, while she would rather be anywhere else.
リン、知り合いとは外国人の方か？
いいえ、知らない。この辺りは洋館が多いから、どっかよそから遊びに来てるんじゃない？
Even as I finish the sentence, I'm mentally telling myself off for being so soft on that girl.
あ、じゃあ、あいつ人間？
さあ、実体はあるから人間なのだろう。
そうよね。マスターでもないし、ただの血は喧嘩か。
Yeah, I don't think it's best to suspect every person that we come across that, you know, kind of just sticks out. Though even I know that she isn't the sort to get caught up in something like that.
二人とも言ったな。女は坂を登っていく。男は。
The blonde-haired man descends via the street that we came by. Oh, I thought he was gonna detect us. Like, alright, hello.
それじゃああなたはここを使
That
って。
was very ominous.
私はもう
That
眠いけ
whole
ど、
scene.
何か質問はある？
とりわけ重要な疑問はない。すぐに戦闘を仕掛けない君の判断は正しいよ。今夜は魔力の回復を行うべきだろう。
ええ。それじゃあ明日、今朝の紅茶をよろしくね。
Alright. Once I'm back in my room, the fatigue washes over me.
そうだ。 眠る前にきれいに連絡しないと。
That annoying priest left me a message. By now he's probably sent for the backup mage. It isn't my problem, but he is my legal guardian. I owe him a phone call at least.
電話と。
I punch his number into the telephone. Before long, the fake priest picks up.
きれい？私だけど昨日サーバントと契約したから正式にマスター登録お願い。
There's a brief pause. Kirei's silence is deafening, and I can feel its weight even through the earpiece. Okay, well, he is there.
ではどうする？一度こちらに顔を出さないか？君のご両親から預かっているものもある。
ああ、それって父さんの遺言のこと？それならもう解読して手に入れたからいいわ。それじゃ気が向いたらお邪魔するからよろしく。
待てリン。マスターになったのなら。
I hang up before he finishes. If I have to listen to Kirei's nagging while I'm this tired, I have a feeling my magical energy will drain away instead of recover.
さて、これで準備は終わり。
That poor guy. All that's left is to sleep. Once I open my eyes, it'll be a brand new day. 10 years ago, my father fought as a mage in the Holy Grail War and lost. Now it's my turn to risk it all for the same prize. I thought she was going to say, it's time for me to lose as well. Which, I don't know what sort of direction all of this is going in. I don't know who's going to win, who's going to lose, who all is necessarily participating. Maybe there will be no winners or no losers this time around. Maybe things will be different. I don't know. And after breakfast, I lay out my plans for the day.
何？学校に行くだと？
ええ、何か問題あるかしら、あっちゃん。
問題はないが、しかし。
Archer looks reluctant but doesn't protest. After spending a whole day with me, he probably understands now that Rin Tosaka doesn't go back on her word when she's made up her mind. I can sense his disagreement even if he doesn't voice it, but I've also learned that Archer has a sincere side beneath all the sarcasm. He won't whine about a decision that he's accepted. Yep, he's loyal and awkward, like that. That's what my intuition says at least after watching him yesterday.
リン、マスターになったからには常に敵マスターを警戒しなくてはならない。学校という場は不意の襲撃に備えにくい場所だろう。
そんなことはないけどね。いいあっちゃん。私はマスターになったからって今までの生活を変える気はないわ。それにマスター同士の戦いは人目を避けるものでしょ。
I don't know, an empty classroom can go a
人目
long
につく
way.
学校にいれば不意打ちされることはまずないと思うけど。
Or an empty hallway. Conveniently empty floor of the school, I don't know.
私は従うだけだ。だが、霊体化して君の護衛をするぐらいはいいのだろうな。まさか、学校に行っている間はここに残れ。な。
当たり前じゃない。学校に限らず、外に出るときはそばにいてもらうからね。マスターを守るのもサーバントの役割なんだから。頼りにしてるわ。
それを聞いて安心した。信頼に応えるのは騎士の務め。せいぜい期待にそうとしよう。だがリン、もしもの話だが、その安全な場所に敵がいたとしたらどうする？
Which I strongly believe is going to be the case based on what we saw in the beginning. And I mean, come on.
何？
I've seen enough visual
学校
novels
に
to
マスター
know
がいるかもしれないっ
that
てかて？
things just coincidentally happen.
そうだ。
Especially when you're in high school.
学び屋には生徒と教師以外は入りにくいが、すでに内部の者がマスターだとしたら厄介ではないのか？
それはないんじゃないかな。この町には魔術師の家系は東坂とあと一つしかないの。そのあと一つっていう家系は落ちぶれてるし、マスターにもなってないし。
マスターになっていないとどうしてわかる？
あのね、うち以外に魔術師の家系がいるんなら真っ先に確かめるのは当然でしょ。
He isn't a
そいつマ
master.
スター
Oh,
には
nope,
なって
she's still
なかった
talking.
し、
Damn it.
あっちの家系の後継者にはマスターになるだけの魔力がないから無視して構わないわ。
I gotta look for those quotation marks
そうか。
every time.
つまり
And one day I will
輪の学校に
learn.
はもう一人魔術師がいるのだな。
そういうこと。だから他のマスターは外からやってくる連中が大半のはず。
まあ今の段階ではな。だがリン、
The hell you mean by for
何事に
now?
も例外は存在する。もし学校に君が知らない魔術師がいたとしたらどうする？
だからいないってば。魔術師っていうのは他の同業に敏感なの。1年も同じ学校にいたらね、どんなに隠してても魔術師の存在は感じ取れる。
I have a feeling that she's going to be very surprised.
断言するけど、うちの学校に魔術師は2人しかいないわ。そのうちの1人が私で、もう1人はマスターになるだけの力がない魔術師見習いなの。
Proby.
わかった？アーチャーの用心はただの杞憂よ。そんなこと絶対にありえないんだから。
だからもしもの話だ。物事には常に裏目が存在する。
Yes, it does.
本来ありえざることが起こるのもまた運命だ。もしそういった事態になった場合、私に八つ当たりをするのだけは思いとどまってほしいと言っているのだ。
Archer chuckles dryly. His smug attitude already makes me want to do exactly that, but I'll be late for school if I let him keep pushing my buttons.
そんなことあるわけないじゃない。もしもの話っていうのは起きないからもしもの話なのよ。もしそんなことになったら、その時は私の見通しが甘かったってだけなんだから。
よし、確かに聞いたぞ。
Yeah, I'm gonna remember that
それでは
too.
行こうか、リム。
I am
君の学び
definitely
まで
remembering
30
that.
分。そろそろ出なければ間に合わない時間帯だ。
Damn, he already knows the amount of time it takes. He picked up quick.
驚いた。もしもの話って本当にあるのね。
Oh, are we already at that part?
ああ、私も驚いている。いや、何事もケチをつけておくものだな。
This is our exchange the moment we pass through the front gate. It's almost time for homeroom, so there are students on their way to class, all around us, and Archer and I stand still like a pillar amid the swirling human sea.
空気がよどんでるどころの話じゃない。これ、もう結界が張られてない？
完全にではないが、すでに準備は始まっているようだな。ここまで派手にやっているということは、よほどの大物か。
とんでもない素人ね。異常を感じさせる結界なんて三流だもの。やるんなら仕掛ける時まで隠し通しておくのが一
Even
流
to this very point, she's still being cocky.
で、君はどちらだと思う？
さあ、一流だろうが三流だろうが知ったことじゃないわ。私のテリトリーでこんなゲスなもの仕掛けたやつなんて問答無用でぶっ倒すだけよ。
I let out an indignant huff as I crossed through the grounds. As a mage, there's no sugarcoating it. I won't be satisfied until whoever made this bounded field gets what's coming to them. I'm pretty sure we can suspect one person here at least. On my way back from the music room after second period, I spot a first year floundering in the hallway. She looks like she could use a hand with the large stack of documents that she's carrying.
手伝うわ、さくら。登坂何、プリント？世界史って言ったらうちの担任じゃない。クズキのやつ、女生徒に使いをさせるなんて何考えてんだか。
Yeah, we really are back to the slice of life. If only momentarily, we are right back to it.
はい、ありがとうございます。
It's nice to take a one episode break from
い
it,
い
but
って。
now we're right
それ
back
じゃ
to
こ
it.
れ、さくらのクラスまで？
久月先生のところです。誤字があったから回収するって言ってました。
納得。クズキは融通きかないからね。一つ誤字があったぐらいで試験を中止させるやつだった。
Yeah, it's a little bit of a I would say that's overreacting. Most definitely. I've taken tests that have had like little mistakes or whatever, but like the instructor kind of tells you just then and there what they meant.
学校の試験はですか？
そう。あれは去年の中間試験だったかな。みんながガーッとマークシートを塗りつぶしてる時にやってきてね。誤字があるので正しい問題ではなかった。よって試験は中止。後日改めて行うってあの調子で淡々と言ったのよ。
A bit much on the perfection
私たちも
side.
驚いたけど、先生方も驚いてね。
Could not be me.
くずき先生らしいですね。それ先生、物を教える立場に間違いは許されないって人ですから。
くずきのは度が過ぎてるけどね。さくらもそのうち思い知るわよ。くずきの堅物ぶりったら岩か山かって感じなんだから。
遠坂先輩、くずき先生のことが好きなんですね。先輩がそんな風に言うなんて珍しいです。
そう？まあ確かにくずきはもうちょっと柔軟性があればなって思うけど。
Oh, there's the rest of the line. Oh wait, nope. There was an ending quote. Though he's alright just the way he is ultimately. Man, I am failing on it today. The faculty at our school is made up of both really nice teachers and some really scary ones. It's a delicate balance that Mr. Kuzuki's is an important part of. He's the stick of the carrot. I think what got me back there was that she spoke more than what the English translation line was, so that kind of just threw me off.
そんなことよりさくら、ちょっと聞きたいことがあるんだけど、いい？
何ですか、先輩？
Oh, it's about the foreigner.
昨日の話なんだけど、さくら、見かけない外国人と話してなかった？
見てたんですか、先輩？
Oh yeah, we did.
たまたま。それであれ何だったの？知り合い？
いいえ、それがよくわからない人だったんです。あの人、道に迷ってたみたいでした。
And that's when she slipped away.
そっか。ごめんなさい。少しだけ気になったから。
いえ、構いません。ここまででいいです、先輩。あとは届
I
け
mean,
る
if
だけです
anything,
から。
the bright side of her asking is that, she cares. She wants to know if she's okay.
それじゃあまたね。
I'd say that's a pretty positive, look on it, but I return the printouts to Sakura. But before I head back to my classroom, I find myself stopping.
さくら、最近はどう？
Yeah, here we go. This is good.
はい、大丈夫。元気です。
そう。シンジがまた何かやったら言いなさい。あいつはどってものを知らないから。黙っていると悪化する一方よ。
心配いりませんよ、先輩。兄さん、この頃は優しいんですから。
There isn't much I can say to a smile like that. We say our farewells again, and I leave my underclassman acquaintance, excuse me there. I'm still trying to get names to faces here, by the way, so I'm kind of struggling. There's not really much I can say there. It's just that I'm trying to know who is who, but the school day is over. The classroom's steadily empty, and the campus darkens by the hour. The crimson sun will set soon. It's still very orange, but once night falls, there won't be anyone left around.
始めるわよ、あーちゃん。まずは結界の下調べ。どんな結界かを調べてから、消すか残すか決めましょう。
I speak to my invisible partner. I feel him nod in acknowledgement. Oh boy. Bounded fields are meant to protect their casters. You can consider them a terrain-based magecraft formed by weaving magical energy into a net and applying it to the earth to affect the inside of the field. There are countless types of effects that they can have, ranging from wards that isolate an area from the outside world to avoid detection, to fields that limit the type of magecraft that can be activated within. The most offensive type suppresses biological functions inside the area of effect. And that's what's been applied to the school grounds. While it isn't finished, everyone in the school will collapse once it's activated. Something like that wouldn't work on me though. Bounded fields are, after all, targeted at the area that I'm in, not me specifically. Such indirect magical interference won't affect a mage with magical energy flowing through her body. Similarly, the electrical charges that flow in the atmosphere won't disturb the electrical currents within my body. That means the bounded field has some other purpose. Whoever it is that put this thing here isn't trying to defeat a master with it. I don't want to believe it, but they're targeting all the people within the school. There's only one possible reason for that. It's a thought I can't stomach. After checking all around campus, I finished my search on the roof. It's thoroughly dark outside now. The school gates shut at 6 p.m. and it's now 8 p.m. We're stuck inside. Archer and I are the only ones left, and Archer is in his spirit form.
これで7つ目か。とりあえずここが起点みたいね。
Wow. There are 8 symbols boldly drawn on the rooftop. They're purplish red marks that only a mage can see. I've never seen or heard of sigils like these.
参ったな。これ私の手には負えない。
Whoever set up this bounded field did it recklessly. But while imprudent, the magical the magical working itself is an order of magnitude beyond my own skills. I almost read something totally wrong there, but I could temporarily erase the energy of the curse, but I have no way to dispel the bounded field itself. All the spellcaster needs to do is supply it with more energy to reactivate the curse's effects. Archer doesn't comment. He's probably remained silent since encountering the rooftop sigils because he too has realized their nature. This bounded field does more than drain its victim's stamina. It will literally melt everyone inside once it's turned on. What the fuck? There are bounded fields which rob victims of their life force and spiritual energy, but the spell that's been applied to the school grounds is on a whole different level. This is no less than a soul eater, a blood fort which melts the human bodies inside it and forcibly collects the souls that ooze out. That's diabolical stuff right there. Since antiquity, souls have always been difficult to handle. They're theorized to exist and are considered to be necessary components of magecraft, but only one mage has ever proven their existence. Our definition of souls stops at that which examines within and that which is transferred between vessels. To not only extract souls but then capture them in one place, it defies comprehension. What's a mage supposed to do with a bunch of energy we can't even convert? So if I had to think of a purpose for it...
アーチャー、あなたたちってそういうもの？
It comes out colder than I intended.
ご推察の通りだ。我々は基本的に霊体だと言っただろう。故に食事は第2ないし第3要素となる。君たちが肉を栄養とするように、サーバントは精神と魂を栄養とする。
Interesting.
栄養を取ったところで基本的な能力は変わらないが、取り入れれば取り入れるほどタフになる。つまり魔力の貯蔵量が上がっていくというわけだ。
Overall strength increase on the, I guess stat boost in all sorts of ways for a servant. He's right. The way to make your servant stronger, or your own servant stronger, is to indiscriminately attack human beings.
マスターから提供される魔力だけじゃ足りないってこと？
足りなくはないが、大いに越したことはない。実力が劣る場合、弱点を武士で補うのが戦争だろ。周囲の人間からエネルギーを奪うのは、マスターとしては基本的な戦略だ。そういった意味で言えば、この結界は効率がいい。
We're really throwing the morals out the door with this one. Archer's saying that I should murder people and take their power if I want to win. It's so simple. I've always known this to be true, and I know it's the path I'm supposed to walk.
それ勘に触るわ。二度と口にしないで、アーチャー。
It's interesting. Yeah, if you want to win this war, if you want to have the up and up on anybody else that's fighting against you, you have to just kill people. You really have to just throw your morals out the door. Staring at the sigils, I make my stance clear. Oddly, Archer sounds just as put off.
同感だ。私も真似をするつもりはない。
I'm glad these two are on the same page then. His answer comes firm and resolute.
消そうか。無駄だろうけど、とりあえず邪魔をするぐらいにはなる。
I approach the sigil and extend my left hand. The magic crest engraved on my arm is like a grimoire passed down through the Tosaka line. A mental switch is flickered. I pass magical energy through the magic crest, load a verse of bounded field erasure, take a deep breath, and activate it. I then send a pulse of magical energy via my left hand. And that should wash away the sigil for now. Oh shit. Who is that? Suddenly, a third voice chimes in while I'm casting the spell. Who do we got here? I whirl around. Oh, what the? Who the heck is this guy? A man is perched on top of the water tower, some 10 meters above, looking down at me. He's clad in a deep blue that blends into the night. His mouth is drawn into a grin, and he has a bestial air about him. The beast's gaze is sharp and clear. In this bizarre situation, the man in blue watches me as if he's greeting a friend that he hasn't seen in a decade.
これ、あなたの仕業？
いや、小細工を労するのは魔術師の役割だ。俺たちはただ命じられたまま戦うのみ。
Oh yeah.
そこの兄さんよ。
This man's got a little bit of that European blood in him. That, or the translator does. His tone is lethal yet carefree. This man can see Archer.
やっぱりサーバント。
No, he's a cosplayer. Yeah, he's a servant.
で、それがわかるお嬢ちゃんは俺の敵ってことでいいのかな？
Yep, here we go. My spine tenses. The man's voice is detached and nonchalant, but it's colder than anyone I've ever heard. So scary it's nauseating. What's the best move here? I don't know. But my brain is still working enough to tell me that I absolutely must not fight him.
ほう、大したもんだ。何もわからねえようで要点は抑えてやがる。ああ、失敗したなこりゃ。面白がって声をかけるんじゃなかったぜ。
The man raises an arm. It appears in a flash. His once empty hand now holds... That is a spear, a lance? A scarlet. Nope, I'm just totally fucking wrong. 2-meter long weapon. My legs throw me to the side before I can think. He's just holding a big stick, that's it. There isn't time to even hesitate about jumping off the roof. With all my might, I make a mad dash for the fence, intending to barrel right through it. Okay, that was freaky. A cyclone lifts my hair into the air. It was by the skin of my teeth. In that instant, something slices through the space I was just in, tearing the fence apart with it. Well, that's kind of sus. A blue whirlwind pursues me. There's no way out. The fence is behind me, my flanks are cut off, I won't make it. I react swiftly. My magic crest surges to life so I can weave a single count magecraft. The spell lightens mass and manipulates gravity, excuse me there. Light as a feather, my body bounds into the air. And I jump over the fence to plummet off the roof. But we'll be okay with this cool-ass magic we got going on. Air resistance and gravity push and pull along my body. It's about 15 meters to the ground, 1.7 seconds away. Too slow, he's going to catch up to me. I let Archer absorb the shock of the landing and break into a dash as soon as we touch down. I couldn't stay on that rooftop. We need a less cramped arena from which to maneuver freely. A battlefield without obstacles where Archer and I can truly shine. Well, it looks like the whole front of this area seems like a like a good spot, the front of the school, the courtyard, if you will. It takes me less than 7 seconds to escape from the roof to the schoolyard. A distance of over 100 meters crossed at a pace no normal person can manage, much less clearly see. And yet, there he is.
いや、本気でいい足だ。ここで仕留めるのはいささかもったいなさすぎるか。
Why does he look so goddamn smug? Against a servant, it's wasted effort. At the same time, I draw back. Archer materializes before me. It's a cloudy night. Archer's hand grips a short sword and that faintly reflects the moonlight.
へえ。
The man's lips twist into an ominous sneer.
いいね。そう来なくっちゃ。話が早いやつは嫌いじゃない。
The whirlwind howls. It's the weapon he swung at me on the rooftop. A spear of blood-like... I guess it is a spear, alright. I just thought it was a big ol' stick. A spear of blood-like crimson that came mercilessly for my head. Or maybe it was both of the things that okay. No.
って感じじゃねえな。何者だ、てめえ。
Gone is his carefree ease from a moment ago. Archer stays silent, facing off against Lancer's unconcealed bloodlust. There's just under 5 meters between them. Lancer's weapon is nearly 2 meters long. It doesn't feel like this beast of a man is going to be deterred by a mere 3-meter difference.
まっとうな一騎打ちをするタイプじゃねえな、てめえは。ってことは、アーチャーか。
Archer doesn't take the bait. An unusual clash of blue and red stare each other down. The two knights, somewhat similarly dressed, mutually calculate the other's demise.
いいぜ。好みじゃねえが、出会ったからにはやるだけだ。そら、獲物を出せよ、アーチャー。これでも礼はわきまえているからな。それぐらいは待ってやる。
Archer doesn't answer. His back, as steely as a sword, seems to convey that. He must not have anything to say to someone he must defeat. That's when I realize it. I'm such a fool. Archer was waiting for my word.
Archer?
I call out to him without getting any closer. Oh, here we go. Was that a laugh? The Red Knight surges forward, his lips curled in response. Wind swirls. A scarlet bullet flies forth, blade in hand. A blue spear thrust intercepts him. If the charging archer is a gust of wind, then the spear tip that rises to meet him is a divine storm. Oh, it's combat time now. Streaking blades, elegant parries. Archer is put on the defensive, fending off the swift thrusts with his short sword. The man in red is stopped in his tracks, his advance denied by the enemy. He can't even breach the 2-meter coverage of the spear. A polearm wielder can control his opponent's range. Lancer, with his nearly 2-meter reach, needs to simply engage his foe whenever he comes within range. It's easier for him to stab an advancing opponent than it is for him to go after Archer himself. Despite this, Lancer closes the distance between himself to press the attack, all the while keeping Archer from advancing further. Lancer's snarl is fiery. With each thrust, Lancer closes in, the assault never letting up for a second. Moving in too close is suicide for a spear wielder. The advantage of a spear is the ability to control the enemy's position. Lancer shouldn't have a chance if he keeps closing in. But that's only according to conventional wisdom. Unerringly, unceasingly, Lancer's spear seeks to pierce Archer's throat, shoulder, forehead, heart. The strikes are too swift to even leave an afterimage. Archer is forced to parry, block, or evade every move of the spear. Any strike, if true, would be a mortal blow. Still, Archer is a servant, even if he specializes with the bow. He won't be brought down so easily by mundane attacks. Yeah, he's got this shit. I believe. The thrust at his forehead is quickly batted aside, and Archer renews his charge in spite of Lancer's spear. One might think that swordplay is all there is to Archer's attacks, but he's exploiting a weakness of spear tactics. Against the spear's considerable reach, neither retreat nor evasion are viable defenses for long. A half-hearted withdrawal isn't enough to get out of range, while probing attacks will lead to evisceration. A reckless charge will similarly end in impalement at the edge of the spear's range. Archer and Lancer have more or less the same physical stature. Without heavy armor, it's difficult for Archer to penetrate the lethal storm of Lancer's attack radius. But Lancer's strikes are a different story. A high-speed thrusts intended to pierce vital points are indeed terrifying, but each strike has a set trajectory and target. If one can predict these, then there are ways to avoid harm. Just as Archer is doing, one can block the strikes aimed at vital points or just barely evade their arcs to create safe openings. Lancer probably underestimated him as a range specialist. The advantage of a long weapon is the generous range at which one can engage the opponent. By giving that up, Lancer has assured his You know, guys, I've never really been one for combat and visual novels, but we'll see what this one has in store. The man in red stops in his tracks. I watch a nightmare unfold as if time is rewinded. Lancer's attacks become even faster than before. Archer's short sword is knocked aside as he twists to avoid being skewered. Lancer's spear doesn't allow retreat. Or rather, his endless attacks are so fierce and sharp that even servants are doomed against them. We were the ones who underestimated our enemy. That servant, the Lancer, and his spear can't be described in mundane martial terms. Who could possibly survive such a relentless barrage? Archer beats a desperate retreat while parrying strikes, creating slightly more distance between the fighters. In that moment, Lancer steps into the gap and unleashes an even more ferocious attack. The storm of attacks is little different from what he has already been doing, but their execution is truly godlike. They've already clashed 10 times. No, it's actually several times more than that. The torrent of spear strikes increases again in intensity and number, threatening to take Archer's life 1,000 times over. It isn't even a change in speed, but in precision. At a steady pace, Lancer's spear comes down on Archer like a waterfall. How can Archer get inside his guard? With such a short weapon, all he can do is defend against the spear. He has no way to close in on Lancer. In fact, he's being forced backwards. The steel vacuum stretches out. I should be backing Archer up, but the right words die in my throat. My magecraft isn't easy to aim precisely. I risk hitting Archer too if he can't get far away from the Lancer. Meanwhile, Lancer's advantage will only deepen. And to be honest, I'm captivated by their duel. So this is a battle between servants. The Holy Grail War is a battle between familiars of the highest order, heroic spirits, beings that we mages can't begin to approach. Servants, familiars divided among 7 classes and roles serving 7 masters. Supreme familiars called forth by the Holy Grail itself. Familiar is really a misnomer for them. Familiars are supposed to be subservient minions who act on behalf of a mage. Normally you'd imagine something like Puss in Boots, an elegant white bird, or a disobedient black dog, something like that. Those sorts of familiars are what a typical mage can manage to command, Familiars are just that, from the Latin for a menial servant. It's inconceivable that a mascot used for menial labor would be stronger than its master. Servants are a different story. They're quite literally the most powerful examples of humanity. Even the 5 magicians wouldn't be able to control them. It's difficult to summon a servant, but not because servants are more powerful than mages. Servants are beings that surpass magecraft itself. Yeah, we've seen this before, kinda. To be clear, servants are heroes of the past. Myths, legends, fables, histories. we call the glorious superhumans from our traditions heroes, whether the tales are true or not. Immortalized by what humanity says about them, they cease to be merely human after death and ascend to something greater. People who work miracles, who save the multitudes, who accomplish great feats, are elevated to the status of heroes either in life or after death. They become a type of elemental we call heroic spirits, guardians of the human race. It doesn't matter whether they were historical people or characters from mythology. Heroes are created by the thoughts of the people. We imagine them as the idols we wish they were and treat them as if they were real. Objective truth is irrelevant. Fame and faith are sufficient to give form to these legends. They're humanity's ultimate ideals, the greatest among us. That's what it means to be hero and a heroic spirit. Naturally, it's impossible for a mere human to control something greater than human. What mages usually do is borrow a portion of their power and imitate their feats. Summoning a complete heroic spirit is simply impossible. Yet the Holy Grail makes it possible. It allows us to summon these spirits in the flesh and even bind them to our command. The sheer absurdity of it proves the Grail's omnipotence. That's how heroic spirits are summoned from across time, whether from the age of gods or as recent as a century ago. The seven heroic spirits serve and protect their seven masters, and each master sends their servants out to defeat enemy masters. It's a death match between heroes of every age and every land. That's the story behind the ritual we call the Holy Grail War. Well, that's neat. Of course, there are limits to what the Grail can do. Even the Holy Grail can't indiscriminately summon mythic beings akin to elementals. Just as a form created by the people is required to materialize the sixth theoretical factor known as demons, heroic spirits need a material form to operate in this world. This is their temporary label and the way that they're allowed to exist in this world. The Holy Grail provides vessels that heroic spirits can easily materialize in, called classes, and only heroic spirits that fit these classes can be summoned. A class is like a passport that lets a heroic spirit visit the modern era to act as a familiar, as a material vessel that they temporarily possess. There are 7 masters and 7 heroic spirits to serve them. Each is assigned one of 7 classes. Saber, the Knight of the Sword. Lancer, the Knight of the Spear, as we're now seeing. Archer, the Knight of the Bow, which we have been seeing. Ready to see in, action now. Saber, I guess we saw in the very beginning, I'm assuming. Rider, the Cavalier. Caster, the Mage. Assassin, the Silent Killer. Berserker, the Mad Warrior. Only heroic spirits with attributes corresponding to the 7 classes can be summoned to the modern world, and they become servants whom the masters command. That's the servant system. Humans summon and make contracts with heroic spirits beyond our ability to handle, all in hopes of winning a miracle beyond our ken. It's the greatest of battles that can only happen here in this land, like no other Holy Grail War. Yeah, we're going through all of this, and that, this fight is still going on here. The duel reaches an even higher pitch. The short sword goes flying from Archer's hand after blocking one of Lancer's strikes. Lancer's skill is consummate. A seemingly straight thrust suddenly whipped into a disarming arc at Archer's wrist. It was an attack that Archer could not have avoided, even if he saw it coming. There isn't an effective way to parry the spear with his sword. A forceful block is countered with an even keener strike, while defending with minimal force will never create an opening to exploit. The clash between sword and spear is shaping up into an intense struggle to defeat an enemy outside of Archer's reach. And with that, we're going to end it because I'm just out of time. I am out of time with this entire session. So next time we will continue on with this lovely battle, see what both of them can come up with, because I believe it's a little bit one-sided to start, but things just got started here. Who will win, man with short stick or man with long stick? But man with short stick has range at times, so we'll see. We'll see what comes about there. But I'm excited to see how our first real fight in this visual novel is going to go. And hopefully it goes well, now that we just got that information dump. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.